with shapes, and perhaps you've seen his iconic fish chair. He reinvents household objects and tech products. Well, today he's here to talk about design for digital lifestyles. Please give a warm applause and a welcome to a man that we're going to just call the award-winning designer. Oh, I've been told that we need 30 seconds before we can get him on the stage, and to do that, I want to let you know about two housekeeping things. We've got two other stages: the center stage, which is just around the corner, and the power stage and our open stage. And if you get a chance, check out both of those. Now I'm being told in less than 30 seconds he is here. So again, a warm round of applause for the designer.
Hello, everybody, and hello to all the crowd who's following on the live stream as well. Here, we're going to talk today about the future of digital lifestyle. Seems like a big topic, but we're going to get into looking at it from looking at some of the past examples. Now, the obvious question I wanted to ask, which is on the mind of all of us, is can we predict the future? Can we really see what is out there and what we could do in the next 5 or 10 years. And it's really hard to predict the future, almost impossible. We all know that if you look at SMS, everybody thought it was a secondary feature on your mobile phone. And today, it is one of the most widely used data application on the planet. And this is something nobody could predict, really. There was a feature, and what leads to something like this, which is going to give birth to an absolutely new language. And it's already happening as we speak. The kids which are using, which are 5, 6, 7 years old now, by the time they become 20, they will be using this language probably. And that's an interesting, fascinating development, which is very, very difficult, almost impossible to predict beforehand. Now, we all have talked about lots of things, especially about the technology. And a sector like this, there's a huge take on technology. There's a huge discussion about technology, but there's hardly much emphasis given on humanity. And in a product creation process, if there is not, there's not enough input from a humanity perspective, that's where the design plays a role, is not done, eventually get a terrible complex product, and we just discussed the conversation before that. Now, when we talk about some of these things, the world is a huge opportunity, a possibility. Today, still, we are talking in a very limited manner. World is unlimited markets. There are tremendous amount of people who could be using some of those tools. And some of them are already using it, but we have to think from their perspective as well. Somebody sitting in the Sahara Desert, or somebody here, a lady in Tibet, could use the products as well, or somebody somewhere in Rajasthan in India. So the interesting thing is actually how one could address their needs, actually. And it is possible. The biggest task is the technology, how we could digitize some of the languages, typographies, and all of that. And thanks to some of the people who are working on this thing for the last 20 years, this is now a reality. So one could do that as well today. And having said that, I would again ask the question, can we still predict the future? That's a difficult thing, but indeed, another question relevant to ask, can we create the future? And in that context, I would like to bring in some historic examples as how some of the things were created. Some of these examples are forgotten in the history. Some of them are still in the hearts and minds of people. But I would like to bring these meetings of minds, powerful ideas when they collaborated together to give birth to something fantastic. And some of these meetings of minds, like Ettore Sottsa's and Roberto Olivetti, they created this early collaboration on design and industry, creating this product, which was, I could say, arguably the first lifestyle product in office equipments, which one could carry on and sit in a garden and work nomadically. This is well before internet or any digital devices came into picture. That is the Valentine typewriter. Next thing I would like to talk about, another example which is almost forgotten in the history, is Hans Gigolot and Mr. Erwin Brown, which they created wonderful collaboration led to this Snow White language and also this Snow White caffeine. Now, this is again a digital lifestyle, I would say electrical device, which defined many things later. Sadly, Hans Gigolo died early, very young, and later Dieter Rams carried on the work, and rest is a history, we all know that. Having said that, there's another example which all of us probably are very familiar with, Hartmut Esslinger and Jobs. Together, they created in early 80s something like this, which is still valid today, and today's all the Apple products still have that DNA in there, every single core of it. Having said that, some of these things are possible only if these are the collaborative minds putting their efforts together from design as well as industry perspective. Having said that, I think it's very interesting to look at some of the projects we've been engaged with in the last 15 to 18 years. And to understand that those projects and put them in a perspective, let's look at some of the technologies which are gone through. And these are the technologies which we all seen happening in front of our eyes from mid-90s all the way up to now, the CRT tubes, telemedia cameras, the kind of graphic interface we had. We didn't have access to the GPS systems till then, and the kind of design language which was there. This is how the desktop looked like in 1995, you know. I mean, this is now today's kind of shocks. There's also reality of such kind of objects still exist on our planet with many places, but this is how it looked like. The monitor was a CRT monitor, was a deep you sitting in front of this radiation the whole 8 hours or 10 hours. The telemedia camera looked like this, it was quite big, but still worked in a very basic manner. And the graphical user interface was like this, which looks quite archaic today. But that was a reality. In this kind of context, we were trying to visualize what would be the future. And in this context, one more thing, how can we forget the GPS, the global positioning system, this was our reality because it was still not, the technology was there, but it was not accessible to all of us. So we had to make use of those analog maps. Having said that, in this kind of context, we asked the question, can we create the future? And there were lots of exercises we did, and one of the exercises where we involve cultural anthropologists, psychologists, obviously designers, and we created tons of products, digital lifestyle products, looking at what could be the thing. So this is the language, design language you see is quite playful. It is objects which you can carry on your body. That's why it's called Vision on the Move. It has a early development of a solid state memory, and you see the basic touch screen, and there are lots of lifestyle products like you see here in the left corner. That's for a kid to navigate in a neighborhood, a simple navigator. And these products are still a great ideas, and they could become reality even today, because today we have a technology. Having said all of these, having talked about all of this product, I will focus on specifically three projects. And these projects will give you an idea in a retrospective how things were done in mid-90s and how they led to what happened today, actually, what happened today in the market. Now, this is a Pangea concept car, a car for environmental research on Antarctica in extreme environment. Now, this was conceived in 1996. We didn't have the World Wide Web accessible on every desktop then. We didn't have the GPS technology. We have a satellite dish, therefore, on the back of the car, which can be open. There is a 360-degree camera on the top, you see there, and you have all the mechanical devices outside which you can communicate and you navigate as you drive through unknown terrain then in early 90s. And that's the inside environment. Now, we didn't have a flat panel display. We made it work. The passenger seat goes and becomes the working seat, like you see there. And a team of 2 scientists can go to the remote place and work. That's the environment. And this is each device, the digital device is designed as an independent object, which is almost looks like today we have a complexity we talked about. We're talking about each device just do the right one thing, what I call a hammer effect, that the hammer doesn't say I can sing and do karaoke, it just does one thing, right? And that's the kind of simplicity we need. This was a conception. It goes back on a recharging rack, and you can recharge your objects and use it when you want. I move on to the next one, a 3D PC, we call it, because it has a three-dimensional camera. It has 16:9 format LCD display. Now, this format became industry standard in 2009. It has a 3D vision camera, which is a still technology not accessible today, but hopefully will happen very soon. You have a wireless keyboard and you have a surround sound. This is a prototype conceived and built in 1995. And you see how some of these things became reality over a period of time. Now, looking at one of the other projects, the digital wallet. Wallet is a very personal device. This is a new take, a new perspective on a traditional wallet, which is a container of a bunch of credit cards, or your emotional memories and things. So we focus on senior citizens mainly to think about how intuitively they could use object. Now this is well ahead of its time, 97. It has a basic form. You see that it's a tiny object which can go in everybody's pocket. You can see the manufacturing and the materials of that. Further, it has a single port. It has icon-based graphical user interface, basic features one could have. This almost echoes what happened in 2001 with the iPod and later with the iPhone. Way back, almost 1997, you have one port recharger, and you have a wireless data communication. And this was a prototype. You see the basic security stuff. Of course, we had to deal with how we can, having all this sensitive information from an individual, how we're going to secure it. So all of these were patented and worked out that time. Last but not the least, one of the most important thing when we talk about technology and simplicity is a kind of sometimes it has a wrong start. That's why things turn out to be terribly complex. I want to bring in completely different examples from other industries where we also engage, and how can we learn from those industries and talking about simplicity and create some of the iconographic really form which will hopefully last longer. I'm going to bring in a chair, a project done for a very well-known Italian company called Capellini. It's an iconic chair. It is mass manufactured. It goes through a lot of prototyping. Prototyping is very, very crucial. Often technological products are very rushed into prototyping, and finally you get disasters. And that's how we get million versions of the softwares. But here, every single millimeter is made, crafted, scanned in a 3D, rebuilt in a 3D software, and precisely control every single millimeter on it. And that is the huge investment goes into making a tooling because it's a huge object. And finally, that's the industrially mass manufactured object. And that is the kind, to achieve that kind of simplicity, to achieve that kind of iconography, you have to go through that prototyping. Often, while dealing with technological industries, that is somehow often get missed or overlooked, or it's done way too fast. I would like to bring in another example which is very crucial and one has to discuss in an industrial context, the question of investments, the question of where the money goes in, the budgets go in. Often the amount of investment done on, let's say, promotions and advertising is tremendous. Compared to that, the product creation is extremely low, even today. There's a lot of blah blah about how many millions they spend on research and development, but really, if you look at the numbers, they don't really match. And here is, we've been given an example to rethink one product, which is absolutely lost in a house in archaic sense. It's a radiator, and we've been approached by one small company, which was very enterprising, to rethink a radiator. Now, the radiators are stuck in a corner. They take 60 to 80% of its heat. The wall gets absorbed. Today, we live in a houses which has double glazed glass, so you don't have to have a radiator stuck next to your door or a window, but it could be bang in the middle of the room. And that was the basic idea. That's the basic model you see there. Lots of prototyping, lots of thinking. Seems like a simple idea, but it's a real work to make it work. Engineering, development, prototyping. That's the joint, how it gets connected. We have a patent on it. And from there, again, many prototypes, many manufacturing processes to explore, to find the right kind of possibility of manufacturing. And from there, investment into manufacturing, tooling, like you see here, the robotics, that's the product assembly and the testing. which really has to work, because product like this, the hot water cannot leak. It has to just function and perform besides being beautiful. It has to perform all the radiation heat testing like you see here. Last but not the least, one of the most important human factor, collaboration, engagement with the industry, people like product development managers, CEOs, discussing very hard to take decisions on heavy investments. And finally, that's the product, which is completely new type of product. It's innovation which really creates a new market possibilities for them. It is not the conventional products like which makes a variation of a redesign, but it's a relook at something totally fresh. And you can put it on the wall. You can integrate from floor to the ceiling, and you can have it together with any kind of interior surrounding. Now, having said that, this is one more last thing I would like to bring in, and that is one more last trip to moon, talking about the future we are talking here. So if you allow me, give me one more last minute about talking about a trip to the moon. Now, we've been thinking about space exploration for 50-odd years. This was one wonderful opportunity came a year or two ago, where we were asked a question, what could be the life on the moon, and how we could look from a human perspective. Not from some kind of a crazy military exploration, not from some political perspective, but purely from a human perspective. Now, today, the only known satellite of our planet Earth, moon, could be a huge resource for us. We already have discoveries that there could be water particles under the surface, and so on and so forth. Now, this was an interesting, fascinating journey in a sense of creating a product, creating a future. And in that sense, we have a basic belief that everybody should get a chance to look at the beautiful Earthrise. And if all of us get a chance to look at that beautiful Earthrise, probably our teeny-miny problems, the differences between the nations will go away. Well, that is some of our idealistic thoughts. But having said that, if this man can go to the outer space to experience zero gravity, Stephen Hawking, then all of us sitting here, or those who are watching on a live stream, all of us can go as well. So today, presuming the fact that this becomes reality in our lifetime, it creates amazing possibility how we can look at it. Thanks to this man on the right, Dr. Peter Diamandis, who made this happen. And then later we had a meeting with him, talking about this possibility that led to some of this project. Now, there's a small observation which has been found out by NASA a while ago, that in a microgravity, your angle of vision changes. In a vertical plane, it kind of increases, and in a horizontal plane, it reduces. Taking that as a simple fact and hoping that every grandmother tomorrow get to go to weekend on the moon, we created a simple gauging hiking device on a surface of a moon, which has a viewfinder, which you can understand how your vision changes, the angle of vision changes from planet Earth to going to the moon. And that's how the object looks like. It's a prototype which was made and exhibited last year and again this year, which balances. It has this camera. We say that it is designed on the Earth. That is, those are the coordinates of our studio. And we provoke and we say that it should be manufactured on the moon, and we chose the site on the moon where it could be manufactured. And that is the viewfinder, which you see there. And that is the final object. So hope one day you could use this object and go to the moon for a long weekend. And with this, I would like to conclude. Indeed, we can create a future. These are some of the examples, like you've seen in a retrospect done over 15 or 18 years, that we can create a future if you believe in it and you understand the technology and you really see from a humanistic perspective what we could shape and how we could bring that language to the wider audience. Thank you very much.
I got a question for you, Satyendra. You know, we had the panel discussion right before you, and we were talking about the death of complexity. Can design contribute to a digital world that is getting simpler for us? Do you believe in that?
Simple answer to that is yes, but a design, if it is understood in a right context. Design often understood as a veneer, as a kind of a layer on the top. to make things beautiful. To me, design is a fundamental thinking. It's a fundamental structural change it could bring. So design, if you understand that from the point of view of product creation, even going back to the basic, yes, we can. Yeah, then definitely we can contribute a great deal. If you think design as just a veneer or a surface, then no.
Okay. You're getting an applause there.
Yeah.
Any questions from the audience before we break for lunch? Anyone? Anything? I wanted to see two.
We have 4 more minutes.
We've got 4 minutes. We've got here Twitter. What is your favorite designed product right now?
What is my favorite design product right now? Yes, I depend. I mean, if you ask me what is my favorite design digital product, I can't give you one because I see a lot of troubles and faults and how things could be improved. If you talk about my favorite product, which you can use every day, is a soya sauce, a simple bottle designed by a designer, Yuri Yanagi, Sori Yanagi, and it's designed in 1953. It's available in each supermarket. It has a beautiful innovation, how much soya sauce you put on your plate, on your food. And it's an amazing innovation. Somebody never, unless you look at it, you never see the fascination of how beautiful it is. That is the product, you know. And if I could design at least one product which will last that long in a digital world, then that will be something.
You know, we've been talking so much about products, about processes. How are you influenced by something as mundane as a smartphone, for example?
I think, well, we all are influenced by our environment in a bigger picture, yeah? I mean, as mundane as a smartphone has become, it was not a few years ago. Thanks for noting that it has become money, which is a good thing. But smartphone, in that sense, we actually, the paradox of all these technologies is we use them, then we become kind of a slave of them as well, because everything depends on them. So if my iPhone breaks down now, I will have a trouble, yeah? Serious trouble, in the sense of accessing, people reaching me,
well,
and so on and so
you're
forth.
dependent on it
You're
now.
dependent on it. So that's the paradox with all the technology, and often what I could say is technology on one hand delivers, but at the same time stabs you from the back. So if you understand that very, very properly and you take a critical look on technology, often what happens in a technological world, there is just extreme amount of euphoria, like enthusiasm, that there's something new, then everything before was uncool. Everything new is great. And I think that is something, a dangerous trap. I think we have to be extremely critical and balanced to accept what is possible, at the same time keep something which was fantastic before as well. And I think that's a fine balance. Often the corporate world doesn't talk that language. They're talking about something else, you know, and that's I think, a paradox of a technological world we live in.
Yeah, we heard earlier too from Mr. McQuivey that most companies are not prepared to even take the next step or to take a leap or to take risk. They're not even thinking in those terms.
Yeah, I mean, that is because they have reasons, they have their game to manage. But I think I see it as an optimistic possibility. Now, thanks to the possibilities like crowdfunding and other opportunities, I hope and I wish that more and more people who are not the big corporates, not the big giants, but still have the ideas and they can make the impact and contribute to the wider masses, wider people, audience, in a different manner. Not in a monolithic manner. I mean, the fruit company does a great job, Apple, today, but there could be another possibilities as well, you know? And I think that is the future I'm optimistic about, that hopefully more and more people, somebody sitting, I don't know, in Namibia, somewhere sitting, I don't know, in south of Brazil, can come out with some idea which will help us in a different way. And that person can bring that idea. I think that is the kind of world I'm looking forward to, where we can really bring in idea of somebody who could be sitting on any part of our planet and give another answer, another possibility to the realities we have today. Yeah. Because the discussion here often happens very, very narrow and focused. You know, I mean, it's not really. I mean, still, we have a long way to go till the lady in Tibet I showed you to reach. You know.
Well, your optimism is inspiring and is contagious. You can see on the Twitter wall too. Someone wrote, "Creation is a pure joy." Quoting you, great presentation, absolutely worth watching. So, Satyendra, thank you very much for coming and sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 1:30. We're going to take a 30-minute lunch and networking break, and we'll be back at 2 p.m. This show will go on. See you in 30 minutes.